Hello, Trevor. How are you today?
Hi, Dan. I'm very well, thank you.
Always good to see you, Trevor. You're one of my most prolific guests on this podcast, so thank you for giving up your time. Trevor, we are going to talk all things exhibitions, specifically in relation to recruitment. To start off with, when I spoke to you probably about a year ago now, I think last on the podcast, you were talking about post-COVID recovery, in the fact that there were 3 stages, junior, mid-management. And when I spoke to you last, I think February or March, you were seeing the senior roles coming back on stream. Can you just, before we get into some specifics, can you just give me a brief overview as to the types of roles that your clients are recruiting for, please?
Yeah, it's mostly senior, Dan. It's sitting in that place. Some 6-figure salaries, very good 6-figure salaries all around the globe. Companies investing in doing things at that level and getting things right from the top. And actually, I'm quite surprised at the lack of roles around ED, PD level, because at portfolio director level, because there's a lot of good candidates around and those roles aren't there at the moment.
Do you think that's a symptom of people not moving? I'm loath to say business is not growing, because from what I read, people are doing, really well. Why do you think that is? Why do you think the roles are not in that area and not coming on stream?
I don't know. Maybe companies have got what they need at that level. There was some taking out of levels within certain companies, and maybe they're just operating more efficiently. But it's not cutback. It's not people reluctant to move. So the dynamics are all there.
So maybe people are doing more with less, would you say?
I think there's every chance of that. Yeah, maybe that's helping the EBITDA figures.
Well, that we're going to come on to that, and obviously the takeover of private equity and what that means. Okay, so we spoke about the seniority of roles. What about the types of roles? So you mentioned PD, portfolio director, event director. Are you seeing any other types of roles, or predominantly certain types of roles? And also, what about the nuances between regions now that, for example, Asia has reopened? What's happening over there?
It's too early. It's too early for roles to be coming up, new roles coming up in Asia. There's plenty in the US, plenty going on in the Middle East. In fact, lots going on in the Middle East, quite frankly, with Saudi coming on stream and everybody trying to hire people there. So there's quite a bit of a bum fight going on in that region. The UK is still lively, but with global focused roles. It's senior and it's really kicking on.
Interesting you mentioned Saudi Arabia. People I speak to on this podcast and generally what I read, and even outside of the events industries, we've seen lots of noise going on. Everyone's trying to get, it's almost like a new gold rush, Wild West. What's your view on sort of organisers getting into that region?
Well, the royal family has very much made a declaration of intent for supporting the events industry, and and without doubt, organisers seem to feel that they can make things happen. So there's certainly a lot of sentiment that it's a market that can work for them.
Sure. And is it, excuse my ignorance, is it similar to like the regions like Dubai, where there are better tax breaks on offer for people that go and relocate? What's the incentive?
I think that's happening in Hong Kong at the moment, where the government is giving people incentives to take tenancies, and I certainly see that happening around the Middle East as well. Yes, so there's a similar plays going on.
Sure. So when my wife kicks me out, I can go and live in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Take your son cream.
Let's talk about skill sets again. Post-pandemic, everyone was talking a lot about digital and community engagement and these other sort of words that were thrown around, 365 models and so on and so forth. And so people were saying, well, I potentially want to hire from outside the industry, people that have got good community experience, digital experience. Is that still the case, or are you just seeing now, we want exhibition experience if that's the role?
There's no doubt that the start point is exhibition experience. I don't ever have any people asking for experience that doesn't include exhibitions. So that's there and needed as the core. Anybody that's got some additional expertise to that, digital data, community serving, and to use the one word you didn't use, omni-channel.
Omni-channel, that's the word.
That's they're extras. They're nice to haves. They're good to haves, and they can add different revenue streams for organisers. But the nuts and bolts is about exhibition industry experience.
And what about let's say I've worked senior level at a venue, and I see a role at an organizer, or even vice versa. Are you seeing people willing to accept candidates from within the industry, maybe supply side rather than organizer side, and vice versa?
I wish that was the case, Dan. That's a struggle as well. It's there's a good history of organisers becoming venue directors, becoming venue players, and it's still a struggle. I think there's some really good people on the contractor side that could be organisers or venue operators. Same with organisers going into venues continually, but it's a real battle to get that change and to get people to see that.
What's the resistance? Because I guess you've not to age you, you've been doing this for a while, and I guess it's possibly it's been the same for years. So what's the reason? I don't see a good reason. I just see people saying they need to have the experience. They've got to tick the boxes on the job description, and there's a lack of maybe a fear of change. Just accepting that people have the intellect, the capability, the industry knowledge, the contact base, sure, that they could do a good job. But it's a real battle to get clients to accept somebody other than what they're expecting on the JD. And obviously, we read a lot about cost of living, inflation, gas, electric bills going up, and so on. In terms of the pool of candidates available, I know you have sort of referenced it. Are you seeing that that's making people a bit more resistant to change, or if anything, are they then seeing other opportunities that might be offering them different packages, and actually that's motivating them to come and speak to you? What's the impact generally, I guess, of the macroeconomic environment?
It's very much the latter, Dan. People are really up for moving. I've actually got to the stage with some clients of apologising for the number of candidates I'm putting forward for a role, because when there's an offer of good base salary, good profit-related bonuses and equity, that's really motivating. And there's a lot of people seeing, it's not just about a post-COVID world, but it does focus the mind on what people want to achieve. And if they can have some skin in the game and they know they have the talent and ability to deliver, they'll go for that. So I'm seeing more movement than before. Before COVID.
So that's interesting. Let's talk about compensation plans. Maybe back in the day, it was typically, base salary, bit of a bonus, not necessarily any opportunity for equity or options. So you've seen that change. Are you seeing more and more packages now where people have the opportunity to get the skin in the game?
Yeah, unquestionably. Even in what might be independently owned businesses or even associations, the opportunity to have some percentage points of equity to for when a business sells, that those senior executives are incentivized to grow the business.
So that's interesting. So, it would seem more obvious if it was a public company where there are options available, or a large private equity play that we've seen with organisers. But you're even saying with independents now that necessarily aren't backed by private equity, that they're willing to give up some equity to the right person.
Yeah. Oh, with stock options within a PLC company, that's about the whole business. These are sure, packages that are bespoke and tailored to individuals to be able to know what they can earn when a business grows and exits, and that creates a real clear focus in people's minds.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. And just focusing just a bit more on talent. We've spoken previously, and I've spoken to industry associations that supposedly there was a drive to try and attract more talent, I guess at my words, bottom end, if you like, some more junior end coming into the industry.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of those initiatives? Do we need to be doing more? People just not bothered? Again, my phrases, but what are we doing to attract the new talent into the industry?
The industry certainly needs to be bothered. The answer is I don't know. One, I don't operate at the lower level, and two, I'm not that close to what the associations are doing. I believe that they're looking at it, but I don't know where they're at in it. But we have to feed the hopper. We need people, and I think there's lots of opportunities. There are cutbacks in other industry sectors that we can benefit from. But no, I don't know how that's going at that level. Fingers crossed there.
But yeah, feeding the hopper. I like that. I like that expression. I'm going to use that. Talk to me about the hiring process. So again, it's I guess it's been the same for many years. You read about posts on LinkedIn where people have gone through 7 interviews or feedback not happening, and I guess it's what sometimes give recruitment industry a bit of a bad name, but it's a double-edged sword, right? So it takes organisers also to play right in that respect. How do you think organisers and your clients in general are acting? Do you think they can be a bit better in the process? What's your view?
At a higher level, when I'm working with a CEO or a chairman, it tends to work quite well. It's quite dynamic, quite effective, and moves quickly. But far too many processes lower down among hiring managers or internal teams, they are too slow. The communications are poor. The benchmarks will change. The salaries will change, or the job title will change, or the job specifics will change, and that's that doesn't create a good impression of a business, and people will pull out of processes. So it should be a small point, but it's incredibly significant.
Sure. So it's a question of managing the process more speedily, understanding that people have options. The interview process is always a two-way street, right?
Of course. Dan. I still see some companies seemingly taking a view that it's an employer market, and it's not. It's a candidate market, and there's lots of good talent around and lots of talent willing to take roles, but we're seeing for example a job offered at a certain level, and then when it comes to make an offer to a candidate, they're offering less money than that, and it's just it's unnecessary, it's unsettling. If you want to buy talent, it's there, and you just get the process right.
Sure. I want to get your view on the flurry of mergers, acquisitions, deals within this industry. So we're a week out from the Hyve announcement that they're going to be taking. We're a week out from the Hyve announcement that they're going to be taken private by Providence. They also have a majority stake in Closer Still Media from 2018. Obviously, Tarsus have announced they're going to be acquired by Informa, and even Cvent being acquired by Blackstone, which will have an impact on the rest of the industry. Are you surprised by this? Were you expecting it? Was it quicker than you thought? If you were expecting it, give me a view.
Yeah, I was certainly expecting it, but certainly not yet. I think it's caught a few people by surprise. In fact, most people have been caught by surprise. I've seen this year, and I think will still be the majority position, that most people will achieve organic growth this year, will double down on that, see where their EBITDA figures are at the end of this year, and sell next. But hey, the blue touch paper's already been lit, and it's a great thing. Three in a week, and it shows the interest not just to private equity, but that reverse transaction as well, where it strengthens the PLCs. I think it's great.
So do you see and expect more activity like this going forward?
Absolutely. I think there's a number of businesses doing exactly the right thing this year. There's double-digit organic growth in most businesses this year. Some of that will take those companies above where they were in 2019, and then 24 will be the year where there'll be even more activity.
Sure,
that's my view.
What do you think that means for the labour market, shall I say, within the exhibition and wider events industry?
It'll continue to be active. I think the industry is in a good place. There's enough dynamic on both sides of this divide, where clients are thinking, what candidates are thinking. There's plenty of options on both sides, that it'll continue to be dynamic and good. Good for the industry.
Thank you. Trevor, I just want to focus on one of your industry causes that I know is close to your heart, and obviously tfconnect and other individuals that were associated with it. The program events for Namawongo, which I know is related to changing lives in Uganda, and I recently saw a LinkedIn post about it. Can you just bring that to life for us, please? Just give us a sense of what it is, how people can get involved, how it helps.
Yeah, I really appreciate you asking, Dan. It's something that, over a period, probably, 6-7 years ago, that we were really active with this, and we raised £1 million to help a community in Uganda. To say £1 million went an incredible long way in rebuilding the infrastructure of a slum community, not only improving lives, saving lives, making people healthier. That £1 million changed the community, and now it's on softer stuff. We're looking at educating women to launch businesses of their own, entrepreneurial businesses. We're helping children go to school. It's not stunningly active at the moment. I think COVID didn't help because everybody was looking closer to home with their charity work. But we're able to educate 30 women, or rather train 30 women to run businesses for £3,000. And the success rate is incredible. It's getting more expensive to sponsor children to go to school, but it's still, I have the boy you referenced in the LinkedIn post, currently £1,000 a year sends him to school for a year.
Sure.
It's pretty good.
That is indeed. And if people want to sort of learn more, I guess they just get in contact with you through the normal channel.
Yep. No, very, very pleased if people want to get involved.
I can't let you go without talking about one of your favourite pastimes outside of recruitment, which is watching Arsenal Football Club. Yeah. We're sitting here in the 21st of March. It's top of the table now by 8 points, even though City have got a game in hand. Yeah. You going to do it?
Yeah, of course.
So we're going to wind this tape back, to use old parlance, in 2 months' time, and see if Trevor Foley's prediction of Arsenal winning the Premier League is going to come true.
In short, I'm scared, Dan.
Trevor, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
All right. Cheers, Dan. Thank you very much.